Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Hello. So I wanted to make a video today discussing Battlefield 6. Now, I'm a huge Battlefield fan. I've been a fan of Battlefield ever since I was about in 8th grade, so that's, oh man, 7 years. So I never played Battlefield 4, I never played Battlefield 3 on launch. I played them after the fact, same thing with Hardline. Um, 1, 5, and 2042. Though I did play 2042's beta, was not impressed at all. So Battlefield 6 was the first Battlefield game I got to play at launch, and well, it's one of the Battlefields of all time, which is what I want to discuss today. I like Battlefield 6. A lot of my friends love Battlefield 6. I like it. But there's a lot of things about that game that kind of bug me and just don't feel like Battlefield to me. And I'm going to discuss those today. So I want to discuss map design, class design, audio design, and I'm going to split audio into two things, effects and voice lines, because those two are drastically on different ends of the spectrum in this game. Then I want to talk about overall weapon balance, vehicles, and just overall feeling of the game and the live service and how I think this game is going to suffer in the long run. So without further ado, let's get into some of our first topics. So first, I do want to talk about the campaign. I'm not going to talk about the campaign very much because I haven't played it. I'm glad there's a campaign. I think there should always be a campaign. Campaign sets a story. It also gives a unique identity to each video game, specifically military shooters. I mean, that's how you can easily differentiate the Modern Warfare franchise, easily differentiate the Black Ops franchise, easily differentiate Battlefield 3 and 4 as well. Campaigns just give an overall tone to the game. They give character to the game. They give a story, right? And they can also set certain lore reasons for why the multiplayer maps are set in certain areas or different factions like Pax Armada. So, yeah, overall, the story, from what I've seen and what my friends have played, it's okay at best, mid at worst. Well, it's actually worse than mid. It's a Battlefield campaign, but it's nothing to write home about. Anyways, talking about the multiplayer first, we're going to talk about the maps. They are small, they are condensed, they are mid. We're not even going to talk about Zane's Quarter because no one cares about that map. Iberian Offensive is first on the list. It is a smaller, more infantry focused map with an LAV, right? It's okay. However, it's very boring to look at. The visuals are eh. The overall feeling of it is just unfortunate because when we first got concept art of Battlefield 6 and it was a Gibraltar map, people were thinking, oh my god, we're going to have a beach landing, Gibraltar's rock, and bigger gameplay. That wasn't the case. Iberian Offensive just feels kind of in general. There's not a lot of destruction that feels meaningful. It is cool that you can tear apart that one house for the most part between C and I think it's E or B, C and B, I think on Conquest, and that's fine. But overall, that map just feels very. It's just not fun. There's nothing memorable about it. It's just a map to play, which is going to be a recurring theme when I talk about the next maps. So the next map I'm going to talk about is New Sobek City, which is the gameplay you're seeing in the background. This is me and my friends playing New Sobek City on Escalation. So New Sobek City is really small. It feels like Gulf of Oman, but only the city area. And you would think that'd be good because the city area in Gulf of Oman is really fun to fight in. Well, it's not for a few reasons. Number one, it wasn't fun for the first few weeks, most certainly because of the fact that helicopters would not spawn for some reason. I don't know. And overall, the map is it's just so small, and you can see right now the spawns are just so close to each other, and they're around like 400 meters away. So this map is really infantry focused. It does have some vehicles, but it's so tight and compact and just cluster. It's just it's claustrophobic, man. It's just so small. It's so just tight. And you will see this with other maps too. Again, recurring themes here. But this map is just small. It's just small. It shouldn't be small. The boundaries are really tight for aircraft, so helicopters have nowhere to run to hide in order to repair themselves or just get into cover. It's just not good. It's not well designed enough. Two, the you can't just run on staircases to the top of buildings on some of these tall ones. You have to zip line up, or if you can't zip line up to the tall one, which is one I'm shooting at right now, you have to get a chopper, right? So now you've got even worse camping, right? It's just not good. This map is not that great. I have some fun on it, but man, the verticality, it's not the verticality that kills the map. It's the lack of verticality access that you get, if that makes any sense. So in Battlefield 4, you would be able to get on top of the roofs of most buildings outside of maps like Flood Zone and Dawnbreaker via elevators, right? So think Siege of Shanghai, most of those buildings you can get on top of with an elevator. You can't do that on this map, even with things like um, I'm trying to think of the map. Ah, never mind. I can't think of it right now. But you get the point, right? You just can't get on top of the buildings on some of these areas, and it's just again, it just feels really small. This map is just really small, really, really small. It could have been so much better, so much better if they made the map bigger. I was thinking we would be fighting in the Pyramids of Giza area and a small town. It's just too small, too small. The next one is Siege of Cairo. Siege of Cairo, I really like. I have so many hours from the labs stress testing, from the beta. I've just played that map to death. I like it. In fact, I love it. I think it's one of the best maps in the game. I'm sick of playing it, don't get me wrong, but I love the map personally. I think it's a great map. I think it's really good infantry focused, and light vehicle focus. I feel like the vehicles, especially when you put on APS and have an engineer or two on them, they become a real power position for your team to hold to keep those vehicles alive because then that tank especially the IFV in particular can just wipe the floor with everything. If you have a good IFV player, you can annihilate everybody on the enemy team. You can clear out positions if you know what your if your team knows what they're doing and they're clearing out mines and they're keeping infantry off of you. The map plays great. Uh, it's just a great map. Great map. I personally am not against small maps. Again, I'm not against small maps, but it feels like every map in this game is small. However, this is the one small map where I'm like, I'll play it every time because I like it. I do. It's a fun map. It's just great. Great map. The next map, Empire State. Oh, it's abysmal. It's crap. I don't even want to talk about it much. It's just too small. It's tiny. It doesn't flow that well. It just sucks. I don't want to even speak about it. It's terrible. Brooklyn Bridge, on the other hand, though, solid map. Solid map. It's not too small. It's still pretty big. It's maybe about 400 to 500 meters from Gimme Flag to Gimme Flag, even though that map doesn't really have Gimme Flags that much. Um, but it's about 500 meters from the furthest flags from each other that are horizontal with the Charlie flag on the x-axis, if you know what that is. They're about 400 meters away. The map is somewhat small. However, though, it plays so nice. The destruction is pretty good. However, when we talk about destruction, again, after I talk about all the maps, you'll know what I mean when I say I wish more of the buildings could be destroyed fully, because in between Delta and think Echo or Foxtrot. It's whatever map is on the flag is on the Pax Armada side by the gas station or mechanic shop. I feel like the building over there in between that flag and Charlie should be fully destructible because it would open up that lane for vehicles more and open up a lot more infantry combat at range. But I really like this map. It's so cool fighting in New York City, particularly in Brooklyn. It feels like you're playing in Division. You can get on top of the roofs of I think almost every building. Unfortunately, though, you can't get on Manhattan Bridge. I really wish what they did with this map is make that Charlie flag area be destroyed and the bridges collapsed and there would be and that's where the flag was. However, I still just love that map. It's so good. It plays really nice. It flows nice. There's plenty of flanking routes, which unlike the previous maps I should have mentioned, don't have a lot of flanking routes. However, the pretty much every single building you can enter in the first and second floor. You can move through alleyways. It's just good. It's just good. It's the perfect map, in my opinion, of that size because it is small, yet it doesn't feel small because you can get everywhere. Because most of the map is playable, because of the first floors and alleyways are enterable. Unlike when you go and play, say, New Sobek City, sorry, Iberian Offensive, where massive areas are just cut off, right? This is not. It plays so good. The vehicle selection is great. And when we talk about escalation, this map just plays amazing. Fantastic. I also found a 5,000 ticket conquest server, and that map was in rotation. It was great. Really great. I didn't stay for the whole match. I got through 1,000 tickets in about 45 minutes. So, yeah, it's that's a long match. Whoever stuck that out all the way, you're a real trooper. But this map is great. I think this should Manhattan Bridge and Siege of Cairo should be the standard for urban infantry maps with vehicles. And I also forgot to mention the attack chopper. Attack chopper is great. They just need to open up the area for the flight. It just needs to be opened up. Anyways, on to the next map because I will forever glaze Manhattan Bridge. Next map up is Liberation Peak. I like Liberation Peak. I think it's probably one of the. It's a medium-sized to small map. It's not that big. It's about the size of a Battlefield 1 map. Don't quote me on that because I did not measure the maps in Battlefield 1 before I played it. I did measure some of the ones in Battlefield 4 though when we talk about Murak Valley and Operation Firestorm. But Liberation Peak, in my opinion, is really solid. I think they should have made the center mountain area in between Delta and Charlie fully playable though. That should be fully playable. The out of bounds areas by Charlie. Why are they on the mountain? Why not further up? I feel like it's like I can't stand in certain areas of cover, which is weird. But other than that, I really love this map. I think it's great. It plays really well. It does definitely funnel you into areas by Charlie and Delta. However, though, it plays so nicely, and being able to destroy the majority of the town is great. We'll talk about destruction again once all the maps are done. But this map just it plays nicely. The valley um south of Delta in that like it's so good for helicopters because you can hide in there, you can get away from anti-air. This map was designed really well, really well for vehicles, for air, and for planes too, because planes can hide in the mountains. This is just it's really good. It's just a great map. I think they need to open up the out of bounds areas in between Delta and Charlie to just allow for a little bit more flanking and maybe put a tunnel past. It's also the only map on launch with 6 flags, by the way. Every other map in this game has been 5 flags so far, which we'll talk about at the end as well. But it just flows great. This map is it's a great map. I know some people don't like it. I love it. I think it's great. On to the next one. Murak Valley. I love this map. I kind of am disappointed though, because they say it's the largest map. However, number one, it's smaller than Firestorm. And what I'm measuring this by is the gimme flags. If you don't know what a gimme flag is, it is the flag closest to enemy spawns. It's about 490 meters away from each other. So you have roughly between Alpha and I believe Foxtrot, A, B, C, D, E. No, sorry, Echo and Alpha. Alpha and Echo. 490 meters. That is really small. That's half a kilometer. If you go and you play Battlefield 4, I did take measurements. I'll try and put the images on screen, but they're on a different computer. Zavad's gimme flags are around 700 meters away from each other. So, and I want to compare this to Zavad because it kind of is almost in the same aspect as Zavad. I don't know, I just don't know what the way to put it would be, but it's really just small. It doesn't feel small. Don't get me wrong. When you're playing Murak Valley, it doesn't really feel small, but it's like 500 meters. And we'll talk about why I think the maps are so small when we talk about Firestorm, because there's something I noticed. I don't have photos of it, but you guys can definitely go check it out yourself. But I'll mention it later. But the map is just overall really not that big. However, it plays really nice. The infantry areas between Bravo and Delta are great. However, I'm disappointed with the fact that it's just another construction site. What I'm most disappointed with this map is that there's not a lot of trench warfare. I thought there was going to be a lot more trench warfare. It's just non-existent. I'm really hoping we do get a map that's focused on trench warfare. I think that would be fantastic. It would play great. Um, Trench warfare, I think, is in my opinion how you do Battlefield to where you can have massive amount of vehicle play, but also a lot of cover for your infantry, and we'll talk about that when I talk about live service and what I want to see maps in the live service. But overall, I like Mirac Valley. It's small. It's not that big. It's not much bigger than the other maps in the game, and it's not bigger than Firestorm. I Again, it's not a knock on the map. I still love the map. It's just it could be better. Last map, Firestorm. I don't know what it is about Firestorm, but actually I do. I lied. Ha ha ha. I'm EA and Dice when I talk about skins. So the reason why this map feels so small and claustrophobic is number one, there's a lot more cover, but number two, they moved up the spawn lines. The problem isn't that they moved up the borders. That's not the problem. However, it is a problem around the mountains. They need to move the borders on the mountains a little bit further back, so that way the enemy team can go up there and clear it. The problem is the spawns for the infantry and vehicles. If I'm playing a NATO, I can get sniped from the tower as soon as I spawn in, and I've had that happen to me before where I'm trying to get into a transport vehicle, like one of the Warthog type vehicles, right? That just like get the 50 cal on the top, and I just get sniped at immediately. I didn't die. I survived. I was able to drive out way, but it's like, why am I getting sniped? Like that sucks. It's just if you put the spawns where they are in Escalation, which is also where they are in Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3, you fix this problem. You can still have the borders up a little bit more to prevent vehicles from just being able to absolutely destroy the enemies, infantry and other vehicles that are just spawning in. But it's like, why did you move up the borders that much and the spawns? The map also plays a little bit differently because it's much more claustrophobic. It's not as open as it was in Battlefield 3 and 4. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It still plays mostly the same, but I feel like it's just meh. And also, too, actually, I'll talk about that when we talk about destruction and map size, general map size after this map. But the map it still plays very decent. And I really like this personally, though, on Escalation. I think Firestorm is just really good on Escalation. It's got a massive amount of vehicles. But yeah, overall, I think Firestorm's good, but it's not the same, which is fine. It's fine. They just need to move the spawns back and the borders back a little bit, and it's 10 times better. Will they? Probably not. They don't care. They don't listen. Dice doesn't listen. So yeah. So all in all, the maps are pretty well disappointing. Okay-ish. They're okay. I mean, none of the new maps are really that great. They're not. Some are really not that terrible. It's just very safe, very sanitary, and overall, it's just not very exciting. So, anyways, let's talk about destruction. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it honest. I'm gonna keep it real honest. It's kind of disappointing. Honest to God. Destruction in some of these maps, notably New Sobek City, Iberian Offensive, Manhattan Bridge to a certain extent, Empire State for the most part, and I really think those are really the main maps here outside of Saints Quarter. Really do nothing for the maps. They do nothing. You can really destroy the fronts of buildings, which is okay. Like I'd rather have that because it looks a lot cooler. Like one of my problems with some of Battlefield's 4 maps, most notably Siege of Shanghai, is that you can only take down one tower. Everything else stayed static. What I feel like having this frontal destruction does is definitely give a feeling of time being passed on these maps. Excuse me. And like warfare, but and opposite as well. But it really just doesn't do anything for the gameplay. It it's just disappointing. And then the other part of it is too with maps like Liberation Peak, Mirac Valley, and Operation Firestorm is you can't fully destroy the buildings. There's always going to be one little wall left standing. Now some of them you can, but those are really small. But then what's weird too is they have some of those smaller buildings that one wall or some corners of walls are completely indestructible. Why? You know, what was great about Battlefield 4's destruction, and I believe also Battlefield 3 was the same way. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't necessarily as impressive, I think, as Bad Company 2. I think it's because Battlefield 3 and 4 had a little bit bigger set pieces, though Battlefield 4's Levolution was awesome. We'll talk about Levolution in a bit, but the buildings, when they would fully collapse, you could only shoot out the walls, right? You couldn't shoot out the floors. Being able to blow up the floors is actually really cool on some of these maps, but you can't blow up all of them, unfortunately. but the way the buildings collapse is really disappointing because they just kind of leave a pile of rubble behind, which is better than nothing. But in Battlefield 4, when the building would come down, the building would kind of just like collapse in on itself and leave the floors and roof as cover. Now, of course, not every single building was like this. You go and you play Operation Outbreak, personal favorite map of mine, and the town is every single built structure on that map, bar I think a couple, specifically in the main town area, are completely destructible. You could blow up everything, right? But if you go and you play Gold Mud Railway, for example, a near perfect map, you can topple the buildings and you still have cover as infantry because the roofs are still there. So it's easy to hide from tanks. So if you're an engineer looking to maybe hide from a tank that just blew up your house, you could go prone in that building. Now, of course, I didn't like the fact that in that game, as soon as a structure comes down, you're just killed in action. That sucked. I mean, not necessarily killed in action right away in this game. You actually get killed by the rubble. So if you avoid the rubble, you're going to be okay. But that's really the only really big upgrade. But the biggest downgrade in destruction is the way it looks when it's done. The buildings don't look that good when they're destroyed. It's just like there's this one wall surrounded by piles of rubble. That just looks horrible. If there was no wall at all and it was just piles of rubble, it would look so much better. But if it was like Battlefield 4, it would look even better. Because here's the thing too, is some of these props, they fall, they collapse, and they stay on the ground. But then they're removed after like a couple seconds. They disappear. Same thing with big trees, as they just disappear. And it's just kind of sucky. It's like, okay, that sucks. So, I feel disappointed by that. Overall destruction in this game, I'm glad it's in the game. It's much better than in 2042, but it's just disappointing because the last bit I want to talk about is no levolution. That crane doesn't count. That crane is not really evolving anything except for maybe making it so vehicles can't traverse in that in between area. Levolution should have been in this game. I should have been able to topple down towers on New Sobek City like you can in Battle Royale. I should have been able to destroy bigger buildings. I should have been able to do all that stuff. I don't understand why it's not in this game. They say, oh, well, it's because it creates bad map flow. So then make it good. Make it good. People said full on destruction doesn't really help. You know what Battlefield 5 did? They added in reinforcements. Reinforcements should have been in this game. Or the reinforcement system, or whatever system was called. That was a fantastic system. Should have returned. Fantastic. It could have been implemented to a much greater extent. I won't go into too much detail here, but it just could have been done so much better than when it was in 5, and it was already really good in 5. Overall, it was just disappointing. So, I don't want to talk about destruction for too much longer because there's other topics I really want to discuss, but overall, I think you could feel that I'm disappointed. Not the sense that it's bad, but just the sense that it should have been better. Could have been better. Would have been better. Next thing I want to talk about is the class system. Disappointing. Pretty terrible. Assault, really quickly, is pretty much useless. I mainly play Assault because there's the Assault ladder and that's really it. The spawn beacon is okay, but it just gets destroyed. And it has no medical. It has one underbarrel shotgun, which sucks. Two underbarrel grenade launchers, which suck. Um, I think that's it in terms of gadgets. There might be one more gadget that I'm thinking of, but I'm sure it's useless too. I could tell you pretty much every single gadget for Assault in Battlefield 4. Yeah, sure, I've played it longer, but there's tons of different kinds of shotguns. You've got buckshot, dart rounds, mass rounds, frag rounds. For the grenade launchers, I believe there's flash, smoke, the LVG, the 3GL, the HE, and I think there's one more type. I can't remember. But the fact that there's only two types of grenade launchers in Battlefield 6 for assault, by the way, sucks. Assault needs to have the medic role. We'll talk about how I'd fix the class system because it's a super simple fix. But yeah, sucks. Engineer, good spot. Great. It's got all different types of rocket launchers. I'd like to see the SRA and the Gustav cannon. The Gustav cannon was in labs. I think it's gonna be a battle pickup, so yeah, we'll see. Then I would still like to see the SRA. You can see it in the background gameplay of Battlefield 4 when I'm playing Engineer. That's the rocket launcher I'm using. But overall, it was just disappointing the fact that that wasn't in the game. But Engineer feels like it's in a great spot. Support. Oh man, this sucks. Support isn't really a support gunner role or an indirect fire role anymore. They are now dedicated medic. So we'll talk about this later, but it sucks. This class is horrible. Horrible. Recon. feels neutered without the spawn beacon. Other than that, it has pretty good utility, most notably being able to lock on to enemy jets. The laser targeter itself can actually lock on to areas where there's not vehicles, so you can mark buildings for destruction via missile. That's awesome. I can mark a window and send a rocket into there using my friend's F-16. That's cool. That's fantastic. I really wish that was in Battlefield 4 because it would make the game so much better, in my opinion, with some campers, especially snipers. But man, this is a great change. I love this. Anyways, let's talk about support and assault. Support feels like Assault 2.0. It feels like what Assault was in Battlefield 3 and 4, and I feel like Assault in this game feels useless. So they either need one of two things: make support the medic role and give Assault all the machine gun responsibilities, and you're pretty much just flipping it around. Or you let Assault stay called Assault and you turn support into, well, I guess still called support, just give it a, ammo type thing. But basically what I'm saying is you got to move the medic role onto Assault. The medic role and machine gunner role should not be on the same, because what I'm finding is when I want to play as a machine gunner, right? I can tell you machine gunner experience from Rush in a bit, but when I want to play as a machine gunner, I want to lay down cover fire. When my team goes down, now I have to move from my position to go and revive them, giving up my support gunner role. So it makes light machine guns mostly useless in that sense. Also, with no suppression in this game, like how it was in 3 and 4, it still is useful with delaying health regeneration, but still not the same as it was in 3 and 4. I now have to give up my support gunner position. So I could be holding down a hallway. I could be keeping an enemy sniper behind a rock, right? Whatever. Now I have to give up my position to now revive someone. That sucks. So I think it's also leading to a lot of people thinking, man, these medics aren't reviving. No, they're just playing a support gunner role. Also, the gadgets suck. Mortars are neutered. They're just terrible. The fact that there's no air bursts suck. The Why did they make two different grenade and like they made a grenade and missile energy? Just make it one. Just make it a trophy system. Why do you have two different types? It just needs to be one. I don't get that. I don't get that. Having the two different types just I don't understand why. It's kind of stupid. I I don't know. Um, but they need to move the medic role to Assault. What that does is it allows Assault to continue to play how it does now, but with the added benefit of being able to revive teammates. Because now what you could do is say you have a squad of say three Assault members and one support gunner, and you're playing on opposite, and you're moving through the town, right? Or sorry, two Assault, one Engineer, one support. Pretty standard for like most people on opposite. It's really what you want to be running with, right? Is that kind of squad. You now have two medics. You've got one guy who's dedicated to vehicles and one guy who's a sport gunner. You're moving down let's say you're taking one of the alleyways to Charlie, right? Your machine gunner is now laying, and you meet contact. Whoever's playing support can now lay down cover fire with their machine gun or with their air burst. And say somebody goes down, oh, guess what? Now the assault players are able to revive each other and are able to revive whoever, right? You get the point. It's just that synergy between assault being able to not only kill infantry but revive infantry. I felt like that was really good in Battlefield 3 and 4. I don't know why they would change that other than this is the same studio that made 2042. And we'll talk about the development team later. But that's something that I really wanted to mention here is the fact that it feels like it was just Battlefield 2042, but with just like trying to like gerrymander in a Battlefield 4 style system. Also, no locked weapons. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't notice much of a gameplay difference with no locked versus unlocked because there's not a lot of bloom. Most of the guns are already fully automatic, like they were in 4. And honestly, I don't think it matters that much in this game because the maps are too small. Snipers feel useless on any map that isn't Firestorm, and even Murak Valley, I'm not seeing a lot of snipers. At least I'm not getting killed by them. I I don't know. But I'm gonna be honest, it just feels useless because no one's using light machine guns either. Because, like I said earlier, there's no visual suppression. So it's not necessarily that open weapons is a good or a bad thing. It's just not noticeable because other gameplay decisions suck in this game. Um, yeah, I would like to see closed weapons if they make the assault change, if they make changes to other parts of the balance. But honestly, it just feels stupid to even want not to want, but stupid to have locked weapons because it does nothing for the game because it's already just kind of worthless, right? And now Recon I think is in an okay spot, but I think it just needs that spawn beacon. It just needs that spawn beacon. Also, I'd like to get the cruise missile or like artillery strike that it had in labs. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know why that was removed. Also, engineer was supposed to have a thermite POV drone. That was cool. I never got to use it because I wasn't in those labs tests. I got it later. I would have loved to have been able to use those. Overall, I think the classism is a step in the right direction, but it's very obvious that the people who made this game are the same people who made 2042, and I think it's going to take a while until they get to where 3 and 4 are, and I don't think they'll ever get there. I'll explain later. Now, the last part of the class I want to talk about is something we're going to talk about later, is the art style of the classes, or just art style of the game. They're very hard to discern. Now, I waited to record this video until Season 1 dropped, but in Season 1, you can now equip whatever skin you want on this new sub-faction for Pax Armada, so it makes it even worse. But it's actually really hard to identify factions, number one, because faction colors are already the same on both teams now, pretty much. Not only that, but NATO is not using real military uniforms, and then the Pax Armada PMC mercenary group aren't really using that much of like private military inspired uniforms either. It just sucks. It's just bad. It's just not a good design. I it's a NATO civil war, but without a NATO civil war, it makes no sense. I'm not going to go into the whole weirdness lore about Pax Armada, but that's just what I wanted to talk about real quick is the fact that classes you can't really identify, right? It's harder. When you go play Battlefield 4, which you're seeing the gameplay of in the background for a reason, you can clearly identify each class and faction. You can identify who the US team is, you can identify who the Chinese team is, by their colors, by their uniforms. So U.S. Assault's got this really slim down look to him. He's got a small backpack and he's got full covered face, just like every other class, right? And then engineers for all classes have really got like a hat or a gas mask. Supports all look a little bit beefier. They usually have a differing head piece that's uniquely different to again the other four classes, keeping the uniqueness. So like US supports got like a black balaclava with the goggles up and exposed eyes, and he's got a little bit beefier of a plate carrier. I believe it's the Blackhawk plate carrier. I can't remember. And then obviously Russian support's got a different helmet, and then the Chinese support's got that helmet, which I wish the mask was down on his face and not up, but it's fine because it makes his face, because his face is like white yellowish. Um, you can clearly see, oh man, hey, that's support because you can just tell by the face. And then by recon, they're either got a boonie hat or they're really slim, which is the same for the other two classes. So really great. But what I liked about Battlefield 4 was the skins, but there are no skins. There are. It's the camouflages. Those camouflages, not only do they allow for you to have a unique sense of customization from somebody else, like I run the Dice LA skin. I think you could see it in this video, but if you got the Dice LA skin, it's a unique skin. Not a lot of people have it, but you know when someone's using it, hey, that person did the Dice LA skin challenge. Same thing with all black. And then you've got other skins like Tiger Stripe, UCP, Marpat, Marpat Desert, and then there's different unique camouflages for each faction too. So the Chinese have their own and the Russians have their own. I don't know the names of them because I mainly again just use the Dice LA camo because I wanted to get that when I used to play on PlayStation. Now I play on PC. It's just so much easier on PC. If you haven't done that challenge, do it. There's tutorials out there to do it. But what I'm trying to get at here is you can easily tell when you have a Dice LA or Dice camo, or I think the Phantom camo is a little bit more difficult to tell, but you can tell immediately, hey, that's the class. Oh man, that guy's got that skin. That guy's got that camouflage. He did this in such challenges, right? I wish that was the same in Battlefield 6. You don't have that. Um, Battlefield 6 does have different skins. I'm glad that the M81 Woodland is in there. That is peak camouflage. Can we get Tiger Stripe in there as well? That'd be nice. But it's you get the camos through challenges. Um, it's okay. I'm glad they're through challenges. So if you suffer through the squad deathmatch to get all the camos for that male assault class, good on you, man. That's baller. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out of there. It's just there's not a lot of clear conciseness. Sure, that shoulder piece is pretty obvious. I think what they should do with the shoulder piece is give the recon a bigger radio and maybe give them two antennas hanging out the back and not just over the one shoulder. Instead of engineers having rockets, actually have their whatever launcher they have slung over them, and then medics or support. I don't know because I want to make changes to that class. I just don't think it's a good class design. Anyways, I just wanted to get that out there because I think that sucks. Also, General art style we'll talk about later is gonna get so much worse later seasons. So much worse. Now we talk about vehicles. This, I think, is the weakest part of the game, and this is where you can clearly tell Battlefield 6 was rushed out the door for a 2025 release date. I believe it's supposed to come out in 2026. It got pushed in 2025 because it can compete with Call of Duty and Call of Duty's news cycle, but they can't compete with GTA 6 and their news cycle. So, vehicles. The Abrams and IFV and the ground transports really only feel like the only finished vehicles. I haven't really messed around with the AA much because I don't use the AA tank. I hated it in the beta. I thought it was crap. I still think it's crap. Don't even bother. Just use the Mr. Missile. Just use that, right? It's still broken because DICE just can't fix anything. Talk about the development team later. But I think that the vehicles in this game, the ground vehicles, are finished for the most part. Outside of there is, as far as I know, there's no immobilized text, and there is one, it's very small. It's not like a Battlefield 4 where you could see in like a yellow outline immobilized, and there's like sparks hanging out. There's not really any of that in the HUD. I do like that you can see a little bit more of a targeting style camera. That's kind of cool, but still, it's just not as good. But the vehicle customization for the aerial vehicles in specific, there's none for jets. What the fuck? Why is there none? Why can't I choose between different kinds of round? Why can't I choose between maybe a high explosive, an anti-tank round, or like some whatever other type of round for my cannon? Why can't I pick between different kinds of bombs? Maybe I want more of a bomb that's more of a high explosive so it does more damage to infantry. What if I want a bomb that goes through a roof and then explodes in a building? That would be cool to see. Um, or why can't I choose, say, maybe to drop napalm? Why can't I choose to drop smoke? Smoke in this game is very neutered. I should have mentioned this earlier, but that'd be cool to have. Um, different kinds of anti-air missiles. There's no passive or active air missiles like there were in 4. It's just this lack of customization for the vehicles. Just so apparent. And the helicopters, their gunner can't pick between. It'd be cool if the gunner could put for the gunner for helicopters could pick between anti-tank rounds, high explosive rounds, heat rounds, or whatever for that 30 mm cannon, and then laser missiles, TV missiles, anti-air missiles, maybe a different kind of missile all entirely, or like those lock-on Hellpod style missiles. Any of those would be great. You don't have any of those options. Battlefield 4 had those. I don't get it. Um, I will say the camouflages are cool and the emblems are cool, but that's about it for those. It's disappointing. Oh, and also not to mention too, there's no flight suits either. That sucks. Oh yes, let me do let me do high altitude maneuvers with no oxygen mask. Yes, yes, yes. Now what is cool about the jets, we'll talk about this with audio design, is that pull up, pull up. That's cool. But yeah, weapons, 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 weapons. I talked about open weapons already. Don't need to mention those again. But weapons, animations, great. Sound, fantastic. Sound in this game, we'll talk about sound design, all glaze weapons in a bit. But the weapons in this game, I like the customization, but there's a few things that I think are really sad. Number one, the balance. The bloom is terrible right now. Not because there is bloom. I like bloom, but the sprint to fire, bad. The fact that SMGs can outrange assault rifles, bad. I think there's a glitch with the AK-4D where you can't hit things when you're using iron sights. That's insane. Um, but overall, I feel like it's just like eh, the balance is okay. Um, but the customization is what I want to talk about mostly. The customization is great, but it's very uh, copy paste. Weapons don't really have unique attachments. Most notably, the fact that they're like, it's just I don't know how to put it. It's cool. It's good. I like the customization. I like the point system. It's great. The balance is better than the gunsmiths of the Call of Duty games, but I think just there's a lack of uniqueness. I can't really create much with these weapons outside of the same looking guns. I would like to be able to customize my gun, like my M4, to be a Mark 18, an M16, an ERG M4, whether or not that be just purely cosmetically or like gameplay wise, because you could do that in Call of Duty. And it looks like you're gonna be able to do that with the weapon packages system. Again, we'll talk about monetization later, but overall, just the weapons are just kind of, they're just there. Red dots are horrible. There's not much to say about the weapons because they're really, they're good. It's just, eh, I don't know what to say about them. That's really it. Portal mode. I wanted to mention portal mode really quickly. Uh, cool. No server browser though for this main game. Why is there no server browser for the main game? Also, too, you can't get full XP anymore. Oh, and you can't host persistent servers if you don't have Battlefield Pro anymore. That sucks. Why is that not a thing? All right, now if they said Battlefield Pro was a thing for just owning the game, right, that'd be fine. But if you bought Battlefield thinking you could have your own persistent server past season one, yeah, get screwed. Someone should sue for that, by the way, if it is suable. I don't think it is, but it's just blatant false advertisement. Again, we'll talk about live service and stuff later, but it's just like, come on, really, really? There's no persistent servers, and they're 30 hertz too. Yeah, I don't know. That sucks. But portal mode, it's nice. I think the Godot editor. I haven't messed around with it yet. I wanted to, but I just don't have the drive to because I have so much other stuff going on with college right now. I think it's great seeing a lot of remakes of older maps like Operation Metro, No Shark Canal. At least the buildings area. There was some Call of Duty maps that got taken down. I don't know who didn't see that coming though. There's some weird copyright things with that though. I'm not again a big copyright nerd or anything, but I'm pretty sure you could still make those, and it's fine because it's considered a cover, similar to music. Music's a cover. I don't know. There's tons of other things, right? And you're not making money off of it. So there's that's a whole other topic. But yeah, overall, I just think Portal's cool. Yeah, it's just a cool mode. My friend thinks it's gonna be the biggest thing. I don't really see it being that big. Just not. It's just because player created stuff that wasn't like community servers. In at least in recent years, granted, Fortnite exists, so I could be completely wrong. Just my opinion wasn't always as big, but maybe again, maybe that's just me. I don't know. Again, that's I don't know. This is where we're gonna talk about the art of the game. First, we're gonna talk about UI. UI is terrible, god awful. It was clearly designed by a woman who scrolls through Netflix because that is exactly how I feel. Is I feel like I'm scrolling through Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or Disney Plus. Who the hell designed this UI? I don't even want to put it on screen. Number one, I'm too lazy to edit it in, and number two, I don't want to curse you guys with having to see it more than you need to. But it is bad. It is horrible. Um, the fact that you have to scroll so far to see different modes like Conquest, just have me hit campaign, multiplayer, portal mode, battle royale. When I hit multiplayer, guess what? It gives me a subset of custom search, followed then by featured modes, then followed by other modes, all in like different boxes. Then you click on, or preferably server browser, which isn't in the game, but you just click on, oh, hey, custom search. Oh, I want to only play these maps on these modes. Boom, done. Oh, featured modes. Oh, what's in? Oh, Friday Night Battlefield. Oh, this limited time event. This limited time mode. Regular other multiplayer modes. So, oh, I just want to play escalation. Oh, I just want to play conquest or team deathmatch or whatever. That's how you do it. You just click on individual Modern Warfare 2019 did it that way. Just look at Modern Warfare 2019. You just click on Quick Match. You could pick the modes you want to play. And then you could pick the other modes like Ground War, the limited time stuff, or Shoot the Ship, or whatever, 24/7. Gunfight. Like, do that. It's so much quicker. It's so much cleaner. It's so much. I don't need a unique individual image for every single mode. That's that big. You could do like 2019 where there's a little like image in the background of something. I just don't care. I just want to play the game. I don't care. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. It's just stupid. The UI for you in the game too, I think is pretty interestingly bad. Most notably, you have your objectives on the top. You look at Battlefield 4 gameplay in the background. You notice how the compass and is on the minimap, and you notice how the flags are shown right above it. Is because you just look in the bottom left-hand corner for all your information you need to know on the map, on how the game's doing, and what the distances are. When I'm trying to call out directions, it's a little bit harder when I have to look at the top of the screen now, way out of the way. Before, when I could just look at the bottom left when I'm looking at a minimap and call out a direct dot, pretty much, of where the tank is. And two, um, when you get your medal notifications at the top, great. Why aren't medals back in the game? Don't know why. Poopy. Um, yeah, it's just why why. Um, but yeah, overall art style too was great on launch. Was great in the beta. Terrible now. Look at season one cosmetics. They don't look like soldiers. You want to have like Pax Armada. They want to do the yellow tape. Do what the Russians and Ukrainians are doing. Do what airsofters do and put an armband on. You can use duct tape. High vis armband. Boom. You can, and then if you want to have an all black skin, but you want to have that little piece of yellow on them, so they're at least not fully black, you just put a piece of tape on them. That's number one, realistic, and number two, it's good for visibility because now I have a direct, like it's a bright color on a dark color. Boom, I can easily see who it is, easily see what team they're on. Yeah, no, let's just do neon colors or an all blue camo that isn't even real blue camo that is way oversaturated, should be desaturated. It's just terrible. You know why they do those skins? Is because they're easy. It's easier to retexture than it is to make a new mesh for these people. It's just laziness. That's it. It just looks bad. It just looks bad. Out of all the real camos you could, blue tiger stripe would have been a really interesting camo to see. With like, say, like a black plate carrier, it's a little bit unrealistic, sure, but it would at least be a little bit more grounded than what we have with this crap. It just looks bad. The art style is just gonna get worse, guys, and they know it. They know that an art style looks bad because they would have advertised it that way. And people who say it doesn't make money, you're an idiot. Look at Modern Warfare 2019. How was it advertised? Look at Modern War. Like, look at it. It was advertised as a back to the roots modern shooter, with realistic art style, with realistic just graphics, right? Same thing with Battlefield 6, and look at it already 18 days later. Keep it grounded, keep it real. Yeah, great job keeping it lying to us, Dice. Yeah, the again, we'll talk about the dev team towards the end, but like, man, come on, really, this sucks. Overall, I'm just disappointed with the game. Just really disappointed with the art style. Now, it'd be nice to get a option to turn off cosmetics too. What would also be nice is get an option to choose the gender of my character to be male or female. That'd be nice. I don't want to hear women screaming all the time. If you're a woman and you want to play as a woman, that's great. If you're a man and you want to play as a woman, that's great. You want man and you want to play as a man, that's great. Let me choose. What was great about Battlefield 4 is you feel like it's you fighting. You don't feel like it's someone else. It's really hard when I'm not playing as someone who is the complete opposite gender because I can't ever think it's me. It's just not possible. Sorry. It's really disappointing. And I am okay, Alexi. I am okay. But yeah, it's just really disappointing. But let's talk about the really, really nice part of the art in this game, and that is the sound design. Well, half of it's good. The effects, sounds. We're gonna break this into sound effects and voice lines. So sound effects and voice lines are two different things to me. Sound effects, so these are like tank shells flying by, guns going off, buildings coming down. That's those are all fantastic. I'll go in a little bit of detail. But the voice lines themselves are horrible. So first talk about effects. One of the coolest effects in this game is when you're nearby people, right? Is you can actually hear the radio on them because they aren't using like Comtacs. Even though I'm sure that if you're using like that Ranger skin that's coming to the game that has Comtacs on, plugged in, that you might still be able to hear radio chatter over them. It'd be cool if that was a detail that they got in the game where it's like, oh, you don't hear this. But when you're next to like regular soldiers with that open mic type of deal, that speaker mic, is you can actually hear stuff. It's muffled. It's very hard. I think it is actual stuff. I don't think it's useful. I'm pretty sure it's just like that jargon you hear, similar to when you're loading into the game, which is great. I love that when you're loading into matches now, you actually hear like screaming and like chanting, just like you did in Battlefield 3. That was fantastic. I love that. But I like hearing the voices over the radio. Not the ones we'll talk about later with the voice lines, but just those muffled things. Tank shells flying by, fantastic. The jet flyovers, great. You can now actually hear gun runs. Maybe this is a problem in Battlefield 4 because I accidentally was playing with it on like a shitty audio setting on my computer for the longest time because I swore before you used to be able to hear gun runs. But in Battlefield 6, you definitely can hear the F-16 rip it up. You can hear that. You can hear the bombs dropping. You can hear tank shells. It's just great. It's so bloody good, man. That is what I think this game does phenomenally. Is it's just the audio team. I have to give them praise for this part, the effects team, audio effects team, because it's good. It's so good. It's so damn good. The reloads, the AK-4D. I have a gas blowback for airsoft of a G3, and the reload sounds almost identical to how the G3 that I have works. That's awesome. Eh, Unfortunately, the AK-4D's charging handle though doesn't flip like it should, so that sucks. But anyways, the audio effects are just phenomenal. But on the other end of the spectrum, the voice lines are god awful, terrible. Before we even mention women screaming and how that's annoying, um, there's no different languages other than English. You'll sometimes hear the Egyptians say, I believe, I forget what they speak. I think it's Arabic. I don't remember. Sorry. But they don't speak their native languages like you do in Battlefield 4 and 5. You hear the Russians and the Chinese voices and then the American voices. Again, another way to identify teams, right? Voice lines. But what I mainly want to get at here is the fact that they're really unenthusiastic. Clearly, they got people who spoke those native languages of, say, like any African country or like Spanish or whatever, like Spain, France. I forgot, I don't even know because Pax Armada, the idea is so stupid. But basically, they got the native speakers of those languages to speak English so they can get an accent. Well, the thing is, they probably don't speak English as a first language, so they don't come across as genuine and they don't come across as intense as they do in Battlefield 4, as they do in Battlefield 3, as they do in Battlefield 1. It specifically the medic voice lines are requesting aid. So either A, when you're dead, you're go medic or something like that in these Pax Armada voices. Number one, not only do they sound like they weren't just shot at and are now dead and need help, but they just don't sound that convincing. But two is when you actually request on the comm rows, which we'll talk about when I talk about the miscellaneous things. Your guy asks, "Does anybody have a med kit? Anybody have spare medical?" And isn't screaming at the top of their lungs for the nearest medic because they have an RPG through their leg, just like the Marine. If you know what that image is, that's elite ball knowledge there. But it's just disappointing, man. The voice lines in this game. There are some interesting ambient ones, but I will say this too about the voices. The swearing. They just say the F bomb. I'm not going to say it here because I want this video to get some reach. I don't know if swearing is going to affect it or not, but all they'll say is like F bomb, medic, or I'm out of F bomb ammo. It's just like, what? Really? That's all you could say? There's nothing else. There's no creative voice lines, really. There's nothing funny that they say. It's all too serious, if that makes any sense. It's like if you guys are fans of Ghost Recon, it's like they went the Nomad route, where it's like Nomad in the first game is this funny, goofy guy. Same thing with his other soldiers in Wildlands, and then in Breakpoint, it's the super tough, gritty lumberjack. I'm so tactical. Like it's like boring. It's just boring, right? I'm not very satisfied with the voice lines at all in Battlefield 6. It sucks. Um, it's just like there's no native speakers, there's not creative swearing, no creative language. It's just bad. It's just plain sucks. They don't sound like they're under stress. They don't sound like their life is on the line. They don't sound like they're fighting for something they believe in. They just sound like they're there to be there. And that's the worst part, is they just don't sound human sometimes. That sucks. The death screams, the good ones are the Battlefield 4 ones, the bad ones are all the women's. It's so annoying. You just hear this. I was like, what am I hearing? I shit you not. I thought it was squeaky brakes on the car. No, it was the lady next to me burning alive. I was like, what? Like, come on. Really? It sucks. It's just the voice lines are just genuinely awful. Um, yeah, not be able, and again, it's just like why? And hearing the female voices too, it's just I don't mean to hate on women all that much, but they just don't sound as cool. They just they don't sound bitchy, right? You go play Battlefield 4, it's like listening to Hannah's voice, but worse. Unlike listening to Major Greenland, who sounds like a female soldier who is competent. These women just sound like they're anime characters. I don't know. It's just not as cool. You go play Battlefield 4 and it's just like it's there. Battlefield 3 even more so. Battlefield 2 is also there, just not to the same extent with diverse voice lines because it's all just, and I don't mean diverse as in backgrounds. I mean just like there's really only like two per thing. But man, it's just not there. It's just not there. Again, it's just. But the radio callouts, this is what sucks the most. All call signs, take all objectives. What kind of shit are you saying, man? You can't have any personality. Like, really? In Battlefield 4, there was a voice line where it's like, "Good work, gentlemen. We just took out that fire. We just took out that enemy base. You're gonna play 2042, right? Man, we just took out that enemy fire base. Good job, boys. Let's keep this up, man. We're keeping the enemy on our toes." There's some voice lines like that where it's just like it's very personal. It feels great. I kid you not. There was a voice line. I don't know if it's still in the game. They did there was at least one in Battlefield 6 that I kind of like from the commander. But the one in the beta was like, "We're losing too many soldiers. Use cover." It's like what? Really? Use cover? I never thought of that. What was they? And there was a voice line that I heard in Battlefield 6 and Breakthrough that was actually a little bit better. It was, "We're losing too many guys out there. Don't be a target." That one's a lot better because you sound like you're someone who's pissed, and let's say sound pissed at you for dying, but like they just sound so unenthused. The radio callouts for the NATO woman are great, and just a radio operator. I like how she's very nervous, like she knows she shouldn't be there, kind of thing. Like she's like, this, like she stutters in some of them. I can't recreate them because I haven't listened to the voice lines long enough, and I'm waiting for someone to upload a video of all the voice lines in a file so I can listen to them and get an even better either appreciation or hatred towards them. But yeah, I do like the Pax Armada one where it's like, "There's a big effing tank in the area. I got eyes on a big effing tank." And there's also there's other radio operators that are more muffled. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I don't know if that's supposed to be muffled or not, but there was one I heard in the background. It's like, "There's a sniper in the area. Keep your head down." That's really the only one I can remember. But Battlefield 4, what I liked though is the effect of the radio. Specifically, when you took objectives, there was someone over the radio who sounded like they were a soldier. "Yo, we just took Alpha. Hey, we just lost Echo. What's going like?" It's like it sounded more like there was someone on the ground telling you what's going on, and not somebody in an AWACS. But I think they could fix that easily by just adding in a little bit of a static, a little bit of a, I don't know if that came with the microphone well, but just like a clicking noise when they're coming on the radio. Just adding in a little bit more like mechanicalness to some of the voice lines, but not like mechanical as an I am. Just like in the way it's being it's like it's if it's actually traveling over a radio wave because the voice lines sound like it's an actual person talking to you and not an actual person talking like in person over than someone talking to you over the radio, right? Like in 4 it felt like there was someone contacting you over the radio, right? And same thing with 3. So again, I don't understand. It's just like I don't understand. We'll talk about the dev team later why they chose these decisions. I just think it was bad. But yeah, I really don't think I'll say for voice lines because I think you can get across the idea. The last thing I want to talk about is the live service and my disappointment with it. 2 maps per season. How many bundles are we going to get? How many skins are we going to get per season? 30, 40? How many maps? 2? Come on. Can you make maps? Oh, maps, by the way, that suck. Blackwell Fields is going to suck. The Eastwood map is going to suck because both those games are supposed to be released on launch. We'll talk about that stuff after the live service. But it's just like, come on, 2 maps, a remake of a map which should have been Manhattan Bridge, not Empire State. But it's just like 2 maps a season, a map a month. Then you go play Battlefield 4, you have like 4 maps, every DLC, and a bunch of weapons, and no skins. No one cares. Like, it's a first-person shooter. I don't care about skins. I care about voice lines. I want new voice actors, right? I want new voices, and new voice lines. But like, man, it's just like if they've put in all their focus into this battle royale which I think will die because who who cares about Battle Royale for Battle? Who cares? I didn't. No one bought this game going Battle Royale. I can't wait to play this game Battle Royale. And all the Warzone streamers are like, we need a Battle Royale for this game. I don't know why anybody could be. They're just gonna go right back to Warzone come Black Ops 7. So I don't even care about their opinions. But it's like, it's just a live service. I wonder what they're gonna focus on, and I wonder if we're actually gonna get new maps and new modes and like things that are like meant tailored towards a bigger mode. Like every single new mode in this game, I think is 8v8. I don't think there's an even single 16v16 mode that's coming in. It's like, really? There's such a this game is clearly being developed, and we'll talk about when we talk about the development phase and the developers next, is clearly developed more for Call of Duty or more for these smaller, more high octane maps. And they say, oh, don't worry, there's larger maps. Where are they? Where are they? Where's the Goldmud Railways, Giants of Corellias, the Band of Hard Deserts? And some people say those maps suck. Oh, there's so much space in between the objectives. There's space in between the objectives for a reason. So you have tank battles, so you have vehicle battles, so jets have room to fly. So you can have larger battles and bigger experiences like you just don't have those in this game. And I'm worried that the live service, we're not going to get those. We're just going to get smaller maps, smaller modes. The new weapons too, they're not really new. They were in labs testings. They just weren't finished yet. Most of this game wasn't finished yet. But it's just like, why? Why is it like this, man? I can't help but feel the live service in this game is going to be terrible. I don't like live service games, first of all. And I feel like this is just a step in a direction towards a yearly release cycle for Battlefield. And as soon as it turns into yearly release, myself, and a lot of my friends are done playing Battlefield. Probably video games in general because they're getting older, but just Battlefield itself. I don't care for Slapfield 6 if that's what's going to turn into because it's slowly turning into that with more skins. With what happened to the grounded skin? What happened to the soldiers? Comments that we heard. Oh, those are gone. It's just disappointing. And I'm really worried for this game's future. I I I told my friend this. I said I'm going to be really sad if I'm going to be playing Battlefield 4 anytime soon for any other reason other than just to experience it one last time. I think I'm going to be experiencing Battlefield 4 a lot, many more times. But man, it's just disappointing. I think live service, what they have to do is it needs to be 3 to 4 maps, new maps, not just like a reskin. They need to have bigger maps. We need Goldmud Railways, not just remakes, but like actual like a Goldmud Railway style map, a Giants of Corellia style map, a Dragon Valley style map, maps that are like a kilometer long, that are bigger, that are better than what we have at launch. Just need them. That's all I gotta say for that. Now I want to talk about the development team, the development of this game. Why was this game created this way? Well, it was in a knee-jerk reaction to Battlefield 2042. Simply put, Battlefield 2042 released the way it did because Battlefield 2042 was just supposed to be a battle royale, and then it was a multiplayer game. Boom, done. I'm not gonna do a whole long essay, but Battlefield 6 is the antithesis of 2042, but not really. You see, a lot of the systems in Battlefield 6 feel the same as 2042. The class system feels more like an operator system because I can't customize my class in anything but a skin. I don't even want to customize the skin. I just want to customize what they sound like, men or a woman, man or woman. That's it. I don't care. I want to pick between the two genders. Um, that's it. And maybe the face of like the race of the character. Black, Mexican, European, American of European descent, whatever. I don't care. That's all I wanted to be able to customize. And patches too. I was disappointed that you couldn't choose individual patches on pieces of gear. That kind of sucked. But anyways, small. But you can clearly see where the development team's focus is with this game. Smaller maps. David Sirlin coming out was saying we want to focus on high octane battles. There's going to be larger maps coming. Where are they? Nowhere to be seen. Um, uh, Bowling off direct criticism for the gender classes or not having like a male sport character. People think that's stupid, but to some people that's a big deal, right? And Alexi saying, "Are you okay?" Like, really, really, come on, that's just distasteful. You got people out there really excited for this game who just want to play as someone who they feel they can represent themselves as in the game. Because it's what Battlefield always did really good, at least for men, was I feel like it's me fighting and not somebody else. No, like you know, it just sucks that now I feel like I'm playing as a totally different person. when I'm playing as a female character. I know some people don't care about that, and if you don't, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'd like to be able to choose who I play as. Simple as that. Um, it's disappointing that I can't do that. It's also disappointing the reactions that we get from the Dice community too. Also too, being able to be banned now for text chat and voice chat. Why? Why is that? This game also came out unfinished and rushed. I mentioned earlier how the game can't compete with Battle or GTA 6. Well, it can't. It can't compete with its life cycle. So pretty much as soon as GTA 6 was confirmed for next year, it was pretty much set in stone. This game was coming out this year. It wasn't supposed to. Uh, there's supposed to be campaign missions set in California. There was one that you're going to be defending a data server, and another one where you're defending something else um, in California. There was going to be stuff about. Uh, Actually, first I'll tell the campaign a little bit more. When they said they were inspired by A24's Civil War, that movie came out about a year ago or something like that, right? Like, so that just gives it away. Of yeah, it's unfinished. But you take a look at the multiplayer. Those two California maps were supposed to be on launch. They look almost finished too, like they should be ready, right? If you look at the streamer's gameplay, the Little Bird was also in the files. There's no jet or really not a lot of aircraft customization. Where are those? Where's the thermals for the tanks too? I should have mentioned that in the vehicles. There's no thermals either. That was one of the most requested things for vehicles in 2042, and it's nowhere to be seen. That sucks. Um, but this game was rushed, and it's very obviously the same team. Like Alexi came out and said like something like, "I've made Battlefields for the last 5 years. You've made one, and it was 2042." It's not something to be happy about. David Serlin, I don't know what he was up to. Vince Zampella is a Call of Duty guy and Titanfall guy and an Apex Legends guy. I love Titanfall too, but that game went nowhere, unfortunately. And Apex Legends is currently in hell. It's just no one cares for that game. Who cares for Apex Legends? No one cares. There was no pop cultural reference. There's pop culture reference in Battlefield. You look at all the Instagram reels, you look at all this other stuff, and there's constant Battlefield footage of like, I feel like soldiers, man. We're going back to the good old days. Yeah, no, we're not. It's clear we're not. It's just Call of Duty. It feels like I'm playing Ground War. There's nothing wrong with Ground War. I love Ground War. Ground War was my favorite mode in 2019. It was a pretty fun mode in 2022's Modern Warfare 2. I was disappointed when the other CODs really didn't do Ground War to the same extent or at all. But you can clearly tell that this is made by a studio that I don't think either knows what they're doing, is incompetent, or is jealous. I put it this way to my friends. I don't think some of the devs, it could be most of them, all of them, or just a few of them, that aren't intelligent enough, don't have to create enough creativity, and don't have enough ambition to create a game better than Battlefield 4. And that sucks to say that, right? Because this game isn't even like how Battlefield 4 was Battlefield 3's release, right? Or Battlefield 4 to Battlefield 3 comparison. People love both those games. It's just more or less which one do you like a little bit more in certain areas and which one do you dislike a little bit more in certain areas? Because both games are phenomenal games. I prefer 4. I play on controller. The controller support for Battlefield 3 is not as good. It's not necessarily terrible, but it's not as good. Also, some other things that I didn't like about 3, mostly down to the UI choices and also having to go through a web browser. But I still love Battlefield 3. Same thing with 4. 4 is a great game. It's like the devs wanted to make 3 but better, and they did, in my opinion. Some people think it's a little bit worse, but you can't really say that about 6. 6 just feels like it's a return to form, but it's not there yet. And I wonder if part of it is jealousy. That there's genuine systems in the past games that were great and they just don't want to copy. Either they don't want to copy because plagiarism, oh, or they don't want to copy because they think that they could take it and do it better. Here's the thing. You could take something and do it better when you actually take that thing and you build up on it and you don't take it and completely rip it apart and try and rebuild it like Halo Combat Evolved. You know why Halo CE and then Halo 2 and then Halo 3 and then Halo 3 ODST and then Reach were all so good is because the games built on each other. They didn't just tear it down and rebuild it again. Right? When you tear down and rebuild something, right? Usually it's not always as solid. You don't hear the words. But it's just like man, it's like they claim that they took a look at previous battlefields and wanted to do everything that those games did great. Okay, well, where's the reinforcement system? Where's the good voice lines? Where's the evolution? Where's the larger maps? Where's the combined arms warfare? Where's a good campaign? Like, where's that stuff? You have good things about Call of Duty, the gunplay, the movement. Those were also in older battlefields too. But you've got good gunplay and good movement. You got great infantry play for the most part, but not great class play. Where's the great class play? Where's the great teamwork? Where's the Comoros having the go 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 request orders button or like more stuff? 2042, I actually like its Comoros because you have more than just Battlefield 3 and 4s. You have a little bit more. Right? Where's the squad call-in system? Where's a vehicle call-in system for transport vehicles? That was cool. Not for tanks. That sucked. It'd be cool if I could actually pick up a vehicle and I'd move it with the chopper, but that's something else entirely. But it's just where are those? Where are those? Where are those features? They're just not there. It's just disappointing. I don't know. I just I don't think these devs can do it. I don't think they can. I want them to. I'm not saying these things to necessarily be mean. I'm saying them to be critical. I want them to succeed. I'm mad because I'm upset. I'm a little bit upset because I've seen what DICE has put out. I've seen what other games companies have put out. This isn't just targeted towards DICE. And I see what they're putting out now, and I'm like, you've done it right the first time, or someone else has done it right the first time. Why can't you do that, but just better and build on it? Why can't you make Levolution? Why can't you build on that? Why couldn't you build on Levolution? Why couldn't you build on a reinforcement system? Why couldn't you build on 3 and 4's class system and make it better and not worse? More diversity, not less. More synergy, not less, with classes and their gadgets. This game, I don't want to say it's a disappointment yet because I go back and forth on saying it's good or bad, but it's. I said it earlier. I'm worried that this is a step in the direction of mediocrity that it's already been on track in, but it's a step in the direction of yearly release where it's just going to become slop. I'm so done with slop. I'm so done. It's like going through each of these studios and being like, okay, maybe their new flagship game. No, Call of Duty sucks. We all know Modern Warfare is gonna suck. Black Ops 7 sucks. GTA 6, maybe. I don't know. Ubisoft is already dead. Bethesda doing something. They're doing nothing. Like, I'm just done. I'm just done playing slop. I don't care. I don't have time. I don't have time. I just don't have time. The game isn't as fun. It's fun, but it's not as fun. It's burnt. I'm burnt out. That's why I'm making this video. Anyways, before I just go into like a long tangent about the state of video games nowadays, I'll make one of those eventually. I feel like this game is at a Y intersection. They could either do really good or really bad. And right now I think they're trending more on bad and mediocrity and not really good. We'll see how it goes. I really have nothing much else to say about this game because I think the community has said it. I think the community sentiment is there. I think the community sentiment is in the right place, right criticism. So we just need to see what Dice does from here, which I'm sure they'll do nothing and they'll just focus on Battle Royale. But anyways, guys, I hope some of you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. I'll see you guys another time.